Well, I was able to fill up the pond. It's really nice because this hose actually feeds off of a water well. And yeah, this thing is pretty much full to capacity. I could go a little higher, but I'm probably gonna crest that area right there and I don't wanna do it. We lost 2 of the 3 koi fish. 2 of them we lost before we even closed on the property. And the third one was sick yesterday. So I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe some of you understand koi fish better than I do, but the well water has always been what's fed this pond. And you know, most of the time they turned it on when it was about half full, which is what we did, filled it up. The last time, one of the koi died before we closed on the property, but while they were filling up the pond, and it died, but the other one was still completely healthy and swimming around. But this time we filled it back up, and he looked really sick yesterday. I tried to move him to another freshwater area and that didn't work, but yeah, gotta hunt him down. He's probably not alive anymore. I'm assuming he's floating in here somewhere now. Oh, there he is right there. Yeah, he didn't make it, poor thing. I am not an expert on freshwater pond fish, so I couldn't tell you why he didn't survive, but it's pretty sad. You know, I was hoping he'd make it at least. Anyways, guys, probably have to get him out of here now and figure out what we're gonna do next. Part of my plan is that we drain this whole thing and we shotcrete it all the way around the outside, kind of like you would a swimming pool. But the other problem I have is that all of these, what look like stones, are actually concrete bags that were essentially dropped in place and hosed down, or however they wet them, and they turned into essentially hardened rocks. What we're trying to figure out now is what we do with this. Again, it's about, I'm gonna say 4 feet deep, but you know, we have to figure out what we're gonna do with this and how we're gonna do it and everything. If you wanna know the dimensions, I'm gonna say it's probably 45 feet wide by about 40 feet across. So it's not a huge pond, but it's certainly you know, something bigger than most swimming pools. There's a little staircase that's not very safe that goes down into it. Yeah, he put on a good fight yesterday because I was trying to get him out and he would hop off and swim away even though he was on his side most of the time. But stinks that we lost the third and final koi. Again, not sure what we're gonna do with it. Might throw some freshwater fish in here and maybe treat it as kind of a little freshwater catch and release pond. We'll figure it out. I gotta get the aerator working. That probably wasn't as big of a factor as some people might think into why this fish passed away, mainly because the aerator hasn't been running for probably 2 years. And you know, basically when you're pouring the water in from the hose right here, it's aerating the pond at the same time. So I just don't know. I mean, maybe the water was just too clean for the fish and he passed away. He doesn't look like he was losing weight. It's pretty chunky. Anyways, I'm gonna get him out and we'll figure it out from there. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a really interesting first use of the tractor is to act as a portable workbench, because I am currently hanging this cable around the perimeter of this really cool covered space, which is next to the pond, and my wife wants to put some sheer curtains up. And you know, I had everything kind of laid out here on the deck and I was like, man, what could be an easier way to position everything so you could grab it easier? And I found it. Just bring the tractor out, level out the bucket a little bit, and you have your own little portable workbench here that holds all your tools and you can move it around as you need it. So really convenient multi-purpose way of using this Swiss Army knife of a tool called a tractor. And you know, it isn't too far from the garage, so it definitely isn't wasting a lot of fuel bringing it out here, and it just gives me the capability to use it for one other purpose, which is, again, holding my stuff. So anything I have to bring out, I can just set right here, and I'm not bending down to grab everything that I need and possibly dropping things between the slats of the deck. So very cool so far. You know, I found so many uses for this tractor: moving dirt, moving logs, pulling stuff around, and now using it as a workbench. So very happy in my purchase so far. So I did a video on some of the landscape lighting that I actually installed on a post and a solar light that I put in place of the solar motion detection lights that just didn't provide a lot of light output. And a lot of folks wanted to see what the light output looked like. And I had actually planned on coming back out at night to film it. I actually did come out at night to film it, but unfortunately I got tied up doing about 100 other things. But I wanted to show you some of the lighting that we have going on out here. Now I know a lot of folks are going to say, you know, you're out in the country, you want it as dark as possible. That may be true for some folks, but my wife and I actually like going for walks out here, and when it's too dark, and she wants things lit up a little bit. So I've done some interesting things. We have some really cool low power lighting that is across this little trail that takes you out to that cool little fountain back there. Very, very nice. Coming over here, way back there, you can see some lighting, and that is on the little covered deck area going to the pond. But what I want to do is walk out specifically to where I installed the solar street lamp and the low voltage lighting that I have hanging on the post that used to have the solar lighting. So, gonna work our way out here. This is not the greatest camera to film this. So hold on one second, I'm going to switch cameras so I can show you what this light looks like with a little bit better night enhanced vision. Okay, so this is the street lamp with the solar panels above it, and as you can see, it provides a significant amount of lighting. Very, very pleased with that. I'm going to come back here to these lights. And believe it or not, it's still pretty dark out here, so they do help, especially if you're going to be walking around at night. And if you are, you can see just how much of an area this lights up. And there's an off switch on the actual brain, so I can turn it off if I think it's too much light, which at times it might be. But a lot more lighting out here. Certainly gives you more visibility if you're going to be out here, especially once we get the RV parked out here. It's going to be nice to have this lighting. I have one light pointed back here at the pedestal, which you can see right there. Provides a lot of lighting there. All right, so wanted to give you a little bit wider view of what's going on here. And this area is very well lit up. So these are landscape lights, low voltage lights hooked up to a timer. I have a lot of slack going to the low voltage ground burial cable that is going to the actual power supply over there. And again, once the RV's out here, it's going to be nice to have this area lit up, and I can turn it off if I want to, but that's kind of the point, to have a little bit more light out here when you want it. When you're sitting out and you have a campfire going or you have a fire pit going, just so you have that extra little bit of lighting that you might want to give you that, I guess, that bit of a camping scene. And then you can see the little street lamp over here kind of illuminating part of the area in front of it. But yeah, pretty cool. And again, we have some more lighting back this way and some more lighting back this way. But it's still pretty dang dark out here, so don't think that this lighting illuminated the whole area and just made the whole property really bright. If anything, it just illuminated the areas that we might be spending time. We might have things and we might want to walk out to at night, and you just don't want it too dark. So that was the point of all the lighting. Okay, so to wrap this video up, it's obviously the next morning, and again, you know, a lot of folks say you move out to the country so you can get out of the lights and get away from them at least, and you know, not have the light pollution. There are big houses here. The property behind us is 20 acres, and it's a huge house, and it's always lit up. The property next to us is 10 acres, and it's also always lit up. So this isn't as rural country as some people may think. We're definitely in a civilization, and there's power out here. But yeah, the main purpose of the lighting here, as you saw in the video, wasn't to illuminate everything. It was to illuminate a smaller area, and that's the main reason why I used landscape lighting as opposed to, you know, much brighter halogen or much brighter LED, you know, floodlights to flood the area. It's basically just to give a little bit of light around the areas that I'm looking for. And it's very similar to the type of lighting that you would put, you know, pointing up at your house if you know, are doing your landscaping, just to illuminate a small area. So Again, it's not overly intrusive. I know some people made some comments that, you know, if your neighbors see it, or, you know, with light pollution bleeding over to your neighbor's lot, it can be very distracting. But for us out here, not too big of a concern, because again, people generally have some lighting around their property here. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting is this lighting right here. So this is very low. That's only about 9 feet sticking out of the ground. So even though that's a 12-foot post, 3 feet are in the ground. So it's very close to the ground. It's not like one of those main power transmission poles right there. And when you enter into this area, that's going to be right in the center. You can kind of see that darker area right there. That's essentially the turnaround. So this just provides you lighting as you come in, so you can see the turnaround area and you're maneuvering. And if I need to walk out to the Black Series, if I need to walk out to the RV once we have it here, it's to give us that little bit of extra lighting. You'd probably be surprised at the limited amount of light cast as far as how far it will go whenever you're out on a big piece of property at night. The light really doesn't travel that far. And again, the reason why I used landscape lighting as opposed to other styles of lighting that were available was because it's a relatively narrow beam. It's focused. I can put the light where I want it without it bleeding off too far away from the source. So it's not going to provide lighting way out here near these trees. It's just pretty much in that area right there where the RV is going to be. And that's going to be the same with this floodlight right here. And the reason, again, I used this light right here with solar is because my power source is back here and I didn't want to trench a power line over here to that area. And that light seems to be working pretty well. So that's pretty much the setup. I hope you enjoyed the last video on this. You know, we're doing little things. We're not trying to overdo it. And we're just trying to give ourselves enough light that we feel secure whenever we're coming out here to do things, or if we're out here, so my wife doesn't feel like, you know, it's too dark and it's not enough light for her to want to come out and enjoy the area. And again, we can always just flip the switch and turn off the light if we need to. Guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.